Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ellen. So today we're going to work on some abstract Valentines or anniversary cards, whatever you want to use it for. Super simple, easy. This one's a little semi-abstract because you can actually see the tree and a little water area. Super fun, super easy, all skill levels, you know, depending on what you want to do. And I give you some ideas for the tree if you want to change it up a little more. If you haven't hit the bell notification button to know when my tutorial is up, please do so. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We have a lot of fun over here. So yes, like I said, we're just washing in color, maybe removing color, adding color, doing some little techniques, all that good stuff. Also, check out my Patreon. I have ad-free videos, traceables, exclusive tutorials, and a live stream in the top tier. It's just a place people go and support my channel. I also give first tips to Patreons for my watercolor workshops and retreats. So yeah, if you want to check it out, you can check it out. 1-2 seconds right over here. There's a little boop that's going to come up. All right, guys. So without further ado, let's get painting some fun cards today. All right, so let's go over supplies that I have. I have 2 pieces of Arch 100% cotton cold press paper, 5x7 sheet. I taped one down with just Scotch Magic tape on a piece of cardboard. We're going to do two different types of landscapes. Brushes, you play around with all the, simple flat wash brush. I have a 3/4 inch. You can use a 1 inch craft brush. And for the second one, you can play around with the Princeton 12 Aqua Lead, or even, a 10 or any kind of round brush you have. And if you want to use a pointy brush, like the Princeton 8 long round brush, we'll do the Princeton 8 long round brush. So right now, we're going to do a simple warm-up, wet on wet, simple, easy, abstract landscape using all those kind of pretty colors. And also I have to mention that if you want to play around with some golds in this one, do so. It's going to be a little fun. So basically we're going to do an abstract landscape. The ground area will be kind of down here, like 3/4 way down here, up here. And just think of like pinks, blushes, maybe some browns, a little bit of gold, right? That's what I'm talking about. So mix up some colors. I'm just going to mix some colors with my number 12 brush. I know you're not supposed to, but. So for colors, you can play around all the pinks or, whatever browns or pinks and browns and yellows, whatever you have. So I have this color. This is Bright Rose, which I really love. It's really pretty intense from Holbein. And you can mix some nice yellow with that. I'm going to mix up more paint so I get a lot of paint over here. I want it blush tone. I don't want this bright pink. It's a little too harsh, in my opinion. So I'm going to mix up some yellow with that. See, now it's already kind of orangey, pinky blush. Instantaneous with this color because that rose is just really pretty. I'm going to loosen up some brown, which is burnt umber. I'm going to loosen that color up. Little Paynes gray. Get that loose. And my gold. Get this loose. It's really kind of thick. And you want to keep it kind of on the thick side. But I just want to activate it. Just to get it ready. Now remember, you don't have to follow the colors that I'm doing. Just showing you how. So, picture, like I said, 3/4 inch. 3/4 the way down. 3/4 inch in my mind because this brush is 3/4 inch. Down here, we kind of leave different colors. Up here, the sky, you want to have like pinks, blushes, maybe little oranges. So I'm going to grab a little bit of this yellow. Kind of make some more orange over here. Going to mix a little bit of orange. Picking. So we get a variety of color here. Because it's for that special day when you want to tell somebody you love them. So you can do where it's wet on dry or start wet on wet. I'm going to start wet on wet. And I'm not going to do all the areas. It's got a tinge to it from the color. So here we go. I'm just getting this brush wet. Just going across. I'm not going to hit every single area. And this is something so simple, but yet every skill level will enjoy because it's just how you create it, like color variations. So I'm just going to start putting in that pretty pink blush tone. For the sky is an orange kind of color. Right there, I already love it. You know, it's just simple. If you want to add a little magenta, get a little darker on top. I'm gonna grab some water. It's all what floats your boat. But see, I just love that pink color. Pretty simple. Gonna make a little bit thicker blush. I want it a little thicker. So that's less water, more pigment of the paint. Kind of going in down here. And, you know, it's up to you how you want to do it. Like I said, right there, I just love it. If you want to start to blend in some more color, maybe some yellow. Like I said, a little orange, a little yellow. You can just put yellow in here and it will change it to orange. Look at that. Kind of pretty, huh? I do want a little bit deeper pink, so I am going to go back in with some of that bright rose. Grab a little bit of that yellow. If I go ahead and tone it down a little bit, I'll grab some of this brown. This is burnt umber. There we go. I'm going to water this down. This is still very wet, so I can go, ooh, yeah. A little deeper. You can play around with all this. It doesn't have to be that deep either. If that seems too deep dark, you can kind of remove the color a little bit. Maybe I wanted it lighter. It's, you know, preference. I kind of feel like I wanted it a little bit lighter. You can play around with all the variations. Just going to lift up some of this paint. All right, so now, I don't even care if there's a cauliflower edge. It makes it more interesting. You know, it's, like I said, it's a preference thing. And when it dries, you can go and add another color if you want. Maybe add a little more red. This magenta. A little deeper up in here. Don't fuss with it too much. Boom, call it a day. The bottom area, I'm going to play around with a little bit. I'm going to leave a white space. There's a reason for that. That's where we can apply gold. And I'm just going to kind of wet this area. I still have some pink tinge on my brush. So I'm leaving a white in between the two. And here, I'm going to play around with getting this wet. Let's start adding some of this burnt umber. I'm going to mix the burnt umber with the Paynes gray. I like a deeper brown. Have that bleed down a little bit. Now it's not bleeding as much because it's not super wet. Going to add some more Paynes gray. Just see what happens. Just kind of bleeding it down. I'm going to go actually grab some Paynes gray itself. Kind of go in here. We're making an abstract landscape, remember this. I'm going to grab some ultramarine blue. Let's see how this looks. A blue-gray. How about some yellow up top? Ooh. Getting close to that white line. I'm going to go grab some more brown and some gray. See, getting funky. I think the yellow kind of looks weird by itself. I'm going to add a little peacock blue to it, make it look green. Now that's pretty bright. Can add some brown back to it. So you could have put a green in there. I just didn't like the yellow. Changing it to a green. And I'm going to keep bleeding down here. Some brown and some Paynes gray. Moving the paint around. Gonna add a little water to that so it moves, or you could spray it. I'm gonna lift that up. Yeah, kind of cool, right? Now I left that line. I'm gonna grab the gold now. The gold, get a little bit wet. It's going to go in between. I'm using my flat 3/4 inch brush. Okay, let's see if I don't screw this up. Go right in between that and see how it bleeds between the two. We're getting funky here. Depending on how much wetness you have, the bleed will be different. Ooh, kind of cool. Get a little thicker paint here. Interesting. The gold. Interesting. Now, at this point, pretty simple. You can leave it. You can add some more stripes. You can write words here. If you want to blend a little, no, this is still wet. This is not as wet as it should be. I'm going to spray it. And I'm going to just splatter in a couple little gold in there. See how this looks. Loosen this up. Just want to make it more interesting. Shimmery, if that makes any sense. Oh, my gold. It will kind of disperse and it won't be like these dots. I want it to have some kind of funky textural kind of look to it. Yeah, you can play around with that. But see how simple that was? I mean, pretty simple. I'm just gonna go add, I know, a little more. I want to see what happens. That brown's a little too brown. Some Paynes gray to it. Just tapping in. I wanted a little bit more deeper brown in some of these areas and less green. There. Don't play around with it too much. Now it's bleeding up a little bit. I'm going to lift a little paint here too. It's taking your brush and like tapping it. You see I'm like lifting it. Just want to make a nice soft color down there. That kind of adds texture when you lift it as well. You can do some scraping. What do I mean by that? You can take any of these tools, even the back of your brush, just scrape up like this grass. And it's going from the brown's going into the pink now. It's kind of cool. I didn't intend to do that, but now I kind of love it. And then where the grass is, it's kind of, you can see the grass now, like all those little marks. Then you can take the pink. See, this is like, this is how I like to paint. And, you know, just go with the flow. And as I'm painting this with you, I'm painting in real time. Sometimes I do things way ahead of time, but sometimes I like to do it in real time and see how it comes out. Just how it would come out the same way for you. I'm going to grab some more paper towels. I gotta get some rags instead of paper towels. Now you can grab some thicker paint and have that bright rose. It might be a little too intense. The yellow. Lift up some of this real watery paint. And you can tip tap the pink. You could wait till it dries, but I feel like when it's wet, it will have more of an abstract kind of feel to it. I'm trying to take up the excess water here. See, just in this kind of area. Look at that. Very exciting, because up here it's still kind of damp and wet, and it's kind of, it's dispersing, and it's creating this really soft, really pretty effect. So just like little pink flowers. I'm really digging this. I'm very excited. You might not be, but I am. It's very wet over in here, so maybe the paint needs to be thicker. So I'm going to get it really thick. Minimal water here. I'm going to add right out of the tube. It's blush color. So we'll disperse less if it's super thick. So teeny tiny ones up to the left. See, it kind of just went over here because it was so wet. And now I'm just going to tippy tap with my number 8, by the way. I didn't mention this. My Princeton long round 8. So just little tippy taps. Isn't that pretty? At the same time, you could tippy tap the gold. Pretty thick. Let's see how this works with the brown. In between some of those. And I'm really digging that too. It's really pretty. Come over here in the wet area. Just sweet. And it's not as wet down here. See, I'm zooming in for you. See how sweet that looks? I'm gonna make a nice, pretty, like not a bright, funky green, a brownish green. So I have the yellow. You know what makes a really brown, kind of meh green is ultramarine blue and yellow, and I've added a little brown to it. Of course, mine's coming out very muddy, so I'm gonna go back in and add some peacock blue. But just make a nice green that's not so bright. So you can mute it by adding a little red, a little brown. So here's my green. That's a little too dark. I'm going to lighten it up with some yellow. So it's kind of an olive green. You can't see me mixing it. Hold on. Mixing it over here. So this is olive green. Okay. Kind of thick. I'm going to go back in here. Just want to tap a little green. If it dries, you can add little lines. I'm just going to slightly just make some little grass. Not too much. Just a little bit. Don't want to overpower it. And that's it. I feel like if I touch it again, it's going to be a mess. And here's something fun. Will I wreck it with this? Maybe. Rubbing alcohol. Just the basic alcohol that you have. It's in that damp phase where if you spray it, it kind of like, let's see. My spray is not working. Okay, well, it didn't really want to do what it's supposed to do. Yeah, it's not doing it. Okay, well, you can try different things. But just really simple, kind of playing around. Oh, kind of made it up here, actually, a little bit up here. All right. Interesting. There are also things you can do where you can just crunch up your paper towel and you just, can you see how I'm twisting it and tippy tapping it? That will also give it that kind of funky textural look. But I'm loving how sweet that is. A little bit of gold. Super simple, easy, abstract card. Let's go into another one. All right, for the second card, same size, just vertical, right? Kind of draw a little pencil on, or you don't have to. You just kind of figure out that from here up to like here. So 3/4 way down a little bit, but it's a diagonal line kind of coming here. This is going to be our land mass, and up here is our sky. And we can have a little river in here. So for the sky, you can keep pink again, pink on pink, or maybe try a little blue. Here's some pretty ultramarine blue. I'm going to water this down. Or maybe not, because I think I might actually use the blue from the river. So let me just keep that. Depends. I'm going to use it. This is going to be the blue from the river. Just simple blue going an angle here. We'll start in the light color first. Just start light. And I think what I'll do, I'll have a landmass kind of going over this way. We're keeping it light. And then we're gonna mix up some simple green. So I have peacock blue and yellow. I'm using that flat wash brush, by the way. A little more yellow. Grab some brown. Just to dull that green around. A little more yellow. It's so bright. A little brown. Just keep playing with the three colors. It's a combination between bright or not bright, whatever. All right, I'm gonna water that down. And then my green will go in here. Try not to hit your blue land. So here I'm just gonna hold this up on a diagonal like this, like, you know, not super straight up, like 3/4, like halfway. And then you can start to bleed in a little bit different colors. So I'm gonna grab some Prussian blue. Oops. Mix it in. A little bit of brown. Just kind of tippy tapping that. You see that? I'll clean off my brush and just grab some water. Just kind of put it on the bottom here and we'll see if it bleeds down nicely. I'm playing around with the bleed here. Bleeding up here a little bit, bleeding down the bottom. I can grab some Paynes gray. That's a little too dark. But I want more of a blue. So I'm going to grab that Prussian blue. Blue. A little bit over there. Playing around with it here. Just kind of throwing in some of the greens. See, I'm just kind of little sound effects. See, I'm mixing all these colors. Have fun. See? Brown, green. Go back and want some yellow. Has this kind of like energy to it. See that? There's the energy we're going for. We're going for the crazy energy. I'm going to go grab in some more yellow here. Okay, that's our little energy. I feel like it's a little on the darker side. So I can try and spray it. And I have a little paper towel on the bottom here. It's going to drip down. Look at that. Now it's dripping. See? Just lift up some of that paint. It's removing all that thick, dark color. Kind of seeing where the energy goes with this. Blending it a little more. Going for that blend. You can also take the paper towel like I showed you before and just kind of twist it. And you get that nice, kind of sweet, soft look to it. You're like, why did you paint that just to remove it? Because then you'll see this paper has a lot of tooth to it and it picks up all these like really kind of cool pigments. And it was, to me, looking a little too dark and I want it sweet. Because it's supposed to be for like Valentines or anniversary or something like that. So then I'm going to grab these colors that I had mixed here. There's the land kind of going over here. Sweet. It was looking a little too dark. I had to just remove it. And then how you remove it is just take that spray bottle and just kind of spray it and kill it. Okay, I went in my blue. I didn't want to go in my blue, but that's all right. There's my land. Background land. I'm going to add a little darker colors to that. Get some of that brown, Paynes gray. Again, just playing around with mixing that. All right, the sky. It could be pink, it could be blue. I think since we did a pink one, let's kind of continue with that. Just make it really pale. So we have that pink over here that I mixed, before. I'm just gonna go back to that bright pink blush kind of tones. Wet on dry. Just kind of throw in that sky in. Even pinker, bright pinker. Here we go. A little bit of yellow. Ooh, that's really pretty. Now I'm grabbing more water. It's getting right close to it. Really kind of close to it, not hitting it. And if I grab a little bit of yellow, hit that and go turn that part orange. I'm not going to paint every single section of that sky, but I just want to keep it like, it's really pretty and soft right now. So we'll just leave it. And this blurred a little bit, which is kind of nice. Let that grassy kind of look. So I'm mixing up some greens, mixed with browns. I'm just going to tippy tap on the edge here where it's kind of blending and bleeding a little bit. Which I'm really excited about. Getting some darker color in here. It's still damp in here. If you want to go back and play around with adding in some dark tones, you can. Isn't that sweet? It was so dark before though. And now I can take my brush and play around with some of that blue. Don't want to get too crazy. I'm going to remove some of my browns here. For the river, ultramarine blue, you can add a little Paynes gray to that. Get it deeper, water it down a little bit. And again, just go lightly holding it on the vertical, making these little lines. Don't have to go too crazy. These little dashes, connect some of them and leave some of them separate. Just a little bit goes a long way. And adding a little bit darker back here towards the green. And a little bit darker by adding some Paynes gray to that blue. Even still, more pigment, less water. Gets a little bit darker. See, we're just taking our time with that. A little rush of water. So at this point, we have to let it dry. We could put our tree in, but it will just bleed all over the place. So we're going to let this dry. I'm going to go grab a little bit more green here. Play around with some, just twisting my brush. It's not looking too abstract, is it? You can make it more abstract by just kind of blending. Look at that. Blending. Blending. So you don't know if it's real, super realistic or not. Blending. Oops, my green up there got a little dirty. Put that blue in there. Deeper blue. Blending. Now it's a little more abstract. And if this got too much green popping up here, you can kind of remove some of it. And go back and add some nice pink. Blushy pink tones. Now it's not so perfectly perfect, you know. You want that more abstract look. All right, I'm gonna let it dry and then I'm gonna do our super tree. Okay, so that's not completely totally dry, but dry enough. So now I'm gonna grab my 8 long round, grab some burnt umber and some Paynes gray, make a nice brown. And we're just gonna do a simple tree. You know, the tree trunk kind of here, going up with some branches. Just gonna put that tree trunk in. The bottom, just kind of point out some little of the tree. It's growing that way. We're going to fix that in a minute. It looks kind of just like it's floating. So then you just make some nice little branches kind of going off that. And it can be in a round type of shape or have another big branch kind of leaning off that. And of course they get much smaller as you go out here. It's going to go really fast, so get all those little branches in there. And here's the main one coming up here. Okay, so at this point, now we're going to start playing with bleeding in some pink. You could do hearts, All a bunch of little hearts. Or take a sea sponge. I recently bought a bigger sea sponge, a smaller sea sponge, I don't know where it is. So the sea sponge is great if you just tap these and get this wet. Oops. Gonna mix up some paint. So I got that beautiful pink and a little yellow, so it's blush. You just make a blush color. You basically add magenta, yellow, you know, keep going back and forth until you have like a nice blushy kind of tone. All right, this is pretty wet and damp. The sea sponge works great to make actual beautiful leaves for all kinds of trees. We're gonna do a pink one. See, just take that sea sponge and you just tippy tap. And you need a good amount of paint to do this. And if you press down, if it's wet, it's gonna fade the ones in the background, which we're trying to do. See? Let me grab some more paint. I think I need to make enough. And if you don't do that, you'll have a defined kind of leaf on top. So we're going to play around with pushing down. Not push down a lot, just slightly. So you get the soft color in the background. And then take the thicker paint. I'm going to mix up more paint, sorry. Yellow. Get that blush color. Oh no, it's too much yellow. The yellow really overpowered that pink, so it's very, very orange. I'm going to have to add some intense opera or some of the color. So just use a teeny bit of yellow. It goes a long way to make that blush tone. Ooh, this is intense color because it's opera. It's even different. It's like neon. Do I want neon? I don't know. We'll see. It will stand out for sure. See, then go right on top of that. Thicker. Less pushing down. And while it's still wet, do you want to take your brush? I'm going to grab some magenta. Mix in with that. Then goes that yellow. That yellow is intense. It's going to really make that color stand out. You can take the brush and go like this and just tap it while it's wet. In all the areas. We can spray it too. Just make the nice pretty leaves. Oh, you could have just did sweet little hearts. We can put a few in once it's dry so you can actually see them, because it's just going to bleed at this point. Going to go right over the tree trunk. Out here is a little too. It's dry out here, so. And then don't forget, you got to put some on the ground. As they fell on the ground. Now the tree could have hearts. I do want to make the ground kind of bleed a little bit. So you can add a little water or spray it. I'm tapping clean water right around here. You can just go over with clean water and then tap in the pink too. So I'm kind of blending this. So I kind of blended it. So you just see pink tone. And then I'm going to go back in. Get thicker paint. And do some little tippy taps. Looks a little more natural. A little less severe. Get that orangey color. Ooh, that neon color. Tapping some leaves out this way. Isn't that sweet? Super easy. If you did too much down here, I'm just going to lift it up a little bit with my paint, my paper towel. By the way, you can add the gold too. Grabbing some gold. I have to activate it. It's kind of a pain in the neck. I love that gold. It just adds something to it. put some of the gold in here. We didn't add the gold down here. We could still do that. Just tapping in some. Tippy tap. I like the gold. You can water it down. Playing around with putting in some gold. Shimmer. Yeah, I like that. See, I put it in there and then I'm going to water it down a little bit. Put some back here too. I think the gold just adds something to it. Really simple. That was just a really simple thing to do for a card, right? If you feel like the pink is so pink, you can lift up some of it. You can spray some of it. Let's see what happens. I sprayed some of it. You can tap. Removing some of that brown, making it really soft. You'll know when to stop when it feels perfect to you. I think it feels good to me right now. Just really simple, semi-abstract on this one because you got an actual tree you can see. You could have a little string coming down with a little heart hanging there if you want to make it really kind of Valentine's-ish, or this could just be pretty, just like a simple, pretty landscape. You could go back in and add, what's your number 8? Let me just do that right now. Some grasses. Again, that's getting it a little more realistic. I don't know if you want to do that. It's up to you. All right, so remove the tape. It's really pretty. Simple. One little tree. Spring tree. And then we have our 2 cards. Much more abstract than the first one and the second one, but semi-abstract. And there you go. Perfect for a gift for Valentine's, anniversary, birthday, anything you want. Just tell somebody you love them. And this doesn't be Valentine's. It could just be just a pretty little landscape, abstract. And this, of course, could just be something from spring. So let me know if you enjoyed this, you liked it, had fun with it. The sea sponge makes the best leaves. Seriously, you got to get a sea sponge. Some people don't like the sea sponges because of the environmental issue, but you're not. What can I say? It just creates the best leaves, so it's something I have to think about. But I love the sea sponge. So if you have any questions, leave in the comment section. Let me know if this was fun and easy for you. If you had a hard time, whatever. You can go back in and make little perfect little hearts too. I would maybe water it down and then try that. Let me know how it came out. All right, thanks so much. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon. And if you haven't hit the bell notification button, please do so. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Thank you.